Hi everyone, Indez here. Today we had the new patch coming into the game, and I have to say that I'm really surprised in a good way of the changes. When I read the patch notes, I was actually happy with many of them, but now seeing them applied in game, they are actually pretty cool, and I think you're gonna like it too. So first let's cover up the overall changes. It's gonna affect every player on the game, and then we can go and talk a bit more specific about the barb change, the class changes, and how it's gonna probably affect you. So the first one that I'm really happy about, the shadow weekly changes. If we go into my alt, because I already did it, the alt that I try to level up but I can't do it because I get too bored, on the shadows, if you see here on my rank, look how beautiful is this right now. You have all the tasks here to do, and this, man, when I was an immortal, one of the best things was actually you could like nail all the weeklies in pretty much like a few hours, and for me that was fantastic. But being a shadow was such a pain in the ass because you only had 3 tasks, and a lot of time you will be stuck because you had like participating in the battleground, going to vault and getting your assembly blessing, and that was like so frustrating to go. But now you can just go and have some freedom of choice. You can go and spam Elder Reefs or go to Challenge Reef, and you pretty much can just play the game as you want, do your contracts, and I feel like it's such a much healthier way to play the game. I seriously can't believe how you guys deal with this bullshit for like 2 years. It is incredible to me because I only been playing for 6 months and it was already like super frustrating. But I legit feel like the winds are changing to a more positive direction, and the community slowly but surely is getting slightly happier because now you can also put on the armory your familiar of choice. So for example, here in the last break, when I look at this, I was like, wait a minute, they didn't change anything. But then I noticed here, like very sneakily, if you scroll down, you're gonna be able to see all the familiars that you have. So you can have 1 pet and 4 bonds. Why use these bonds? Because you want to have the pet traits to give you crit, attack, and all these extra buffs. So I love to see this change because now it's gonna give me the opportunity to, if I just want to go and do PvE, most likely I'm just gonna use my dragon. I'm not gonna go with my PvP pet, and whenever I go with my PvP grace set here, I can just put my savior pet and switch back and forth really nicely. Because before I was too lazy to always be doing that, and it's not like it takes like a lot of time, but it was just like boring to do, so I don't do it. Another change that is being a bit controversial, so I want to give my opinion about this. It is the Warband change. So right now you are able to add up to 12 members. So as you know, the LA query rates are only up to 8 members. So why did the developers today change this? So from an answer that they gave on the official Diablo partner Discord, they mentioned that it is to give some wiggle room for new members. And that part I understand. I also think that in the future we might have like a mega raid that instead of 8 people, maybe we're gonna have 12 people joining, which I think that will be like super cool to have like just more people joining a raid. It is always nice as long as it's not laggy, right? But the major issue that people are complaining, also whenever I read the patch notes, I actually mentioned this inside the Discord, that one of the most annoying things that happens to clan leaders is if you have a warband and you just have 1 slot open, you're gonna get spammed with the requests. So I suggested and I recommended that they add a functionality to just disable new requests or invitations to join your warband. I think that would be like way healthier to deal with this situation because, for example, in my case, I got a great active warband. We really don't need at this moment like this 4 extra members. Actually, if we add 4 extra members, will just be a pain in the ass. But also I understand that KT, it doesn't want to get spammed with newbies asking for requests, right? So a solution that I see that you can do immediately is just fill up all these 4 slots with some random alts from your Warband members. And like that, these spots will be filled it up. You're not gonna have notifications coming into the Warband. And this is a workaround this problem. But I genuinely feel that this will gonna be fixed maybe like in the next few patches that we're gonna have, because nobody wants to deal doing these things, right? The next one, I wanna talk about one of my favorite, and I didn't think was gonna be one of my favorites. When it comes to the patch notes, it is the damage meter inside the dungeon. Well, right now, whenever you go inside the dungeon, there is like these options that if you click here on this icon on top, you're gonna be able to see who's gonna do the most damage. So you have your damage, and then if you click, you can see what are the skills that, you know, they're pumping more damage. So in my case, I have the Berserker doing a lot of damage because I use the Berk Breaker, right? So it makes sense. So this is going to be a great way for you to compare yourself to other players. Of course, as a free-to-play player and as a barb, it's not going to be like really easy for me to be always on the high end when it comes to the damage. However, I don't think my damage is going to be too shabby, but I feel like here there is a thing that is kind of weird, because if you see on my damage, I have like 500 damage per second, right? So the way this works is it starts counting all the seconds since the dungeon started. But the main issue is like the dungeons right now are so clunky. There are so many cutscenes. There are so many like these advancing to checkpoint that we all the 4 members have to come here, and we are just like keep dragging the time, and the overall experience in dungeon is not like the most fluid thing that there is. Recently, also on the Diablo partners, they were asking what are the major pain points about dungeons, which I can share a bit of my feedback. I said that my 3 major pain points when it comes to dungeons was, first, an obvious one, it is how boring it is to keep refarming your sets over and over and over. Then we have the other one, which is the experience inside the dungeon, and while you were trying to recruit, there is like so much time wasted. I don't want games to waste my time. Please let me have fun, but don't waste my time with constantly dialogues, cutscenes, and please, man, Sargots, just shut up, man. Listen, I am so tired of listening to you in ARMORY. It is crazy that this still exists in the game. Hopefully, in the next major patch, we're gonna have a huge change in the dungeons. And my third major point, which for me, it's even more aggravated because I'm a free-to-play player, but I think in general affects every player. So whenever you go into the stash and you start collecting your green sets, and you want to just have multiple green sets, you want to have Banquets, Vitus, there are so many that you just want to have because sometimes you just want to try and test new builds. But man, the stash experience, it is so bad. We don't have filter, and if you don't know the icons, man, I'm too old to memorize all these icons, okay? Like for me, they actually look a lot similar to each other most of the times, and it shouldn't be needed for me to just like be clicking one by one to completely understand which one is which when it comes to the set that I want to pick. So hopefully these 3 major pain points will be solved very, very soon. And now also we have another that, in my opinion, it is a great change, is that now the damage numbers that appear on your screen, you can manipulate the size you want and if you want it to appear or not on your screen. So for example, if you go here to the settings, interface, and you scroll down, you're gonna see this new section called combat values display. In my opinion, to be honest, I'm used to play Diablo 4, so usually I like to have the numbers, but every time that I play Path of Exile, there is no numbers, and the experience is actually great. So I have been testing out playing without the damage dealt numbers, playing with the damage dealt numbers, but just putting like in different size. If you're like a big number guy and you just like, you don't want to even see your character, because that was the major issue that was happening for me that I play the barb. If I go inside the dungeon with these damage numbers like to the maximum, it is gonna be super hard to even see my character. So the visual clutter, especially as a melee class, it was not the best. So if I just rush here, I put my chains, I jump on this, and look at the size of these numbers. You cannot even see my character, and this was like not really fun. Because also the numbers are getting bigger now. They have like 6 digits most of the time, so they become like really massive. So the way that I'm testing and the way that I feel like it is the middle ground for me, it is actually to just put damage dealt. You select, you go with the tiny ones, so you're gonna still be able to see the numbers, but now they are gonna be way less out of the way. So if you see here, I can still see my character, so you're not compromising your visual clutter on the screen, and it is just still feels nice to understand how much damage you're doing. So in the Path of Exile, the way you do this is like from Path of Building, or just, you know, experience that understand whenever you are seeing the damage of the boss. So if I go here and I completely remove the damage dealt, this actually makes the game look way better in my opinion. And if you get used to play like this, is actually a great thing. You can always turn on and turn off the numbers, but as you see here, I can literally just focus on my character, in my movements, if I have to dodge anything or not. Of course, like this Diablo Immortal, you don't have to dodge pretty much anything, right? So it doesn't really matter. But in general, I feel like the experience is just, it is much better whenever you can see the character, you can look and see the way you're fighting. I feel like that's great, and I feel like that's one of the things that, in my opinion, made Path of Exile also very interesting. And later on, they also implemented in Diablo 4. So this is a good change that they are adding also to Diablo Immortal, because not all players are the same. They prefer to see numbers, a few don't. But see, look at this. Look how clean it is that you're gonna play with your own character. And it's the first time that I'm actually seeing the boss, because most of the time there is the boss and all these ads around, and I literally cannot even see my character. It's just like the character or the boss or the mobs that I'm killing, because it's just like full of numbers on top of my screen. But if I was playing the auto build, most likely I'm gonna put like those numbers in giant, so I can see those millions popping on my screen. So there is time to turn on and off, but overall, great change. I like this. So since we're here on this dungeon, I also want to talk about something that has nothing to do with the dungeon, but it is just for you to pay attention that in a few hours the events are gonna reset. So 14 hours. So make sure you do your cap on this one, so you can get like more goodies, right? Like the legendary Turlik already got this, so probably I'm just gonna get like some free dust right here, right? And maybe some scraps, even if I don't need. Please upgrade the gear to level 40, so I have another reason to just keep playing this game, because right now I don't have a reason to play this game. I just literally log out and I don't play as much as I want. So 40 level gear will be a nice addition. Then you can also go and do your vanguards again. I already had the weekly caps, but I did this. You know what I did? I went to the chat. I said, hey, does anyone need some boosts? Does anyone needs a boost in the vanguard? So for example, I keep like all the time 4 vanguard charms, 1 of each, so I know that maybe in the future we also gonna have this quest. So 1 of might, 1 of healing, 1 of defense, and 1 of pain. So you're always able to go and do these vanguard quests, because like this is the most annoying part. It's really easy to do, but you know, it just takes a charm for you to actually be able to do. And then this one Festival of the Ancient Moon is also about to end in the next days, so make sure that you do this one. This is like a massive, like 300 battle points. This is crazy. Collect 50 monster answers. Just go do some open world with some party that you just take turns. Like this, very easy to actually do this. I'll probably finish this after I recorded this, so very nice. Always pay attention to these events. They are always like goodies here for you to do. I always do my events. If you see here, Factory Plan is done. Also the Conqueror, I'll have to go and do Conqueror again, because I did last week, but I guess it's restarted, so I just have to go do these like very quickly with these massive build that I created, inspired, of course, on the Ota build that you guys can go and have a lot of fun. And now that we're talking about new events and new things, please don't forget that we are having a new Tower War season coming into the game. For me, you know what? I love Tower War. I'm a PvP guy, as you guys know. So anything that can add a bit more fun and variety, it always good to me. So now if you go here to the battleground captain, you're gonna have battleground. So on the battleground, you know, like I'm always playing against whales because like I'm on 4,700, right? So it is actually refreshing to just go and start a new PvP mode season, because Tower War, personally, it is maybe even more fun. I already did one game. I completely crushed it. I'm using the Oda build. I feel like if you want to get from bronze to legend like super quickly, as a bard, you go with the Ota build. So I'm going to show you the Ota build that I'm using. If I go here on the armory, this is my PvP Ota build. Personally, I'm still using the Spartusk, but you also can use the Artless Terror, which I think that maybe is going to be even better for Tower War, because you just sprint around. But I will do a full deep dive video to break down this build, so you can also go have some fun. I just need to play a few more games. But as I test it out, now you only need to play until 1,300 points. The boss in the middle gets spawned at 800. I literally almost two-shotted that boss. I don't know, maybe they reduced the health or something, or maybe I was just used to play Conqueror on that map and where you were like way weaker. So every time the boss is about to spawn at 800, please be in that spot, because that boss is gonna like be completely destroyed. So very fun mode. Please don't forget to do, because as a reward from being a legend, look at this. You can get up to 40 gems. This is so good. But you know, if you don't care to go that high, just go to legend, man. Get to the 1,500 score and get your free 30 normal gems and you're done. It's just literally freebies. Not only that, you're gonna get like so many keys. Like this event is so worth to go do. They said that they fixed the matchmaking. I still need to play a few more games to actually go and see, but usually we know how that goes, right? So please make sure you go and do your Tower War. Now is easier than ever to climb, because every time that you go to a major rank, for example from silver to gold, you can never go back to silver. You will always be a gold one, the same as if whenever you go to legend, you can never drop from legend. So that's always really nice. You guaranteed your 30 gems. So big W. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. It is Barb dead. It is Spartusk helmet dead. No, it's not, man. Like I literally just played today in PvP, and for me it was not a big difference, man. Usually I go with this spec. I use the Spartusk with the chains, like a more defensive around the idol, and it might be a bigger difference if you don't have your slots awakened. But if you do, please understand that inside a BG, having this 10% cooldown reduction, it's not strife. That it means like it's not 3%. It is the actual 10%. Then you use the Lion's Mane, you get a 10% increase, which is gonna be like 20% cooldown reduction, plus the cooldown reduction from your green set items, and you're gonna do perfectly fine. I think like the cooldown was around what, 8-9 seconds. So it is completely fine. I feel like they can still keep nerfing the Spartusk cooldown, and it's still gonna be worth it, because the major thing is that if you're smart the way you play inside the battleground, you just become pretty much a Spartusk dispel bot, and that's like your main functionality. You let the whales do all the damage, you go near the idol, you use the Spartusk, and you get out, okay? So I see like one of the biggest complaints, people, oh, the idol, I get CC, man. Yeah, because you're not playing it right, you know? Like, you're not supposed to go like crazy meathead barbarian mode and just go to the idol every time, sit there and just wait to be CC'd. No, you can use your chance to pull people out of the idol and also to your team so that you can do the damage, and then you use the Spartusk and you take the bubble or the Undying Rage, or you just a bit more cautious. So learning how to play like offensively and defensively all the time, it is the way you want to go. Because if you're a barb that every game you're having 10 deaths or more, you're probably not a good barb. You want to be more strategic in the way you play. Of course, there are exceptions of times that is going to happen, but in general, you want to aim for a play style that you're gonna play around your team so you can win the match and not just go and plant yourself alone in the idle expecting that you're gonna have any impact. So regarding the other changes, for example, for Tempest, some players from Throne of the Destruction Discord were saying, oh, you can feel it but not really feel it. I still have to test it out. The Tempest banana change that it reduced from 7 to 8. The Necromancer, the Scyther round, also got slightly nerfed, so probably is gonna be less used now. And the other buffs, I mean, we still have to wait and see when it comes to these like nerfs and buffs in PvP, because that's where usually new metas can appear. But from the changes that I saw, nothing seemed like very meta defining or changed. It was just like minor tweaks, nerfing slightly the top, nerfing slightly like the top classes and buffing the ones a slightly bit. And I feel like that's the way to go until they are a bit more equal level. But don't do anything like super majorly disrupted that's gonna destroy the whole class. For example, people are saying, oh, you should remove Undying Rage from Barb. Like, are you crazy, man? If you take Undying Rage from Barb, Barb doesn't do anything. It's the same as removing the bubble from Crusader, for example, right? Like, it's gonna be like way less tanky. So this is it for now. I'm actually really happy with the changes. I think the game is going a good direction. I hope to see more changes coming into the game with a bigger impact. For example, itemization, the way we upgrade our set items, because it's just so boring. Like something that is gonna make us play the game and progress towards a goal and not just be all the time dependent on RNG if we got the sockets or not. So I'm still waiting for like major changes that comes to the game, because we all know how these major patch went. We got Vanguard, which is pretty much for me is it's an average to good event. I wish it had a bit more impact in the game than actually does. It's a fun game mode that you actually don't need to do it if you don't want to, but still cool. And so if you're still here, this is the secret call. Put the timestamp down below. I want to see that if you're one of the true legends of this channel. Thank you so much for your support. And if this video brought you any value at all, please consider subscribing, because not only it helps me a lot, but also we are on the mission to overtake Diablo Immortal official channel in terms of subscribers. I'm really excited if one day this will happen, and I think the community will be too. So with this, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.